Pharmacy friends, what is going on? We are back here for another live episode of Pharmacy Unplugged. We are ready to take your practice to the next level. Today, we have a very fun topic, actually. Might get a little personal. We are ready to count down the best and the worst students we ever had in the pharmacy. So, if you are one of my former students and you made it to the worst student list, I think it's time to reconsider your career. Maybe a career change would be good. Like one of my friends actually said one time, like I have no expectations for students, which is not true. I just focus on different things that are more practical. Anyway, too much talking. We're talking about pharmacy students today in retail settings, so stay tuned until the end. And as we always do, before we begin, we want to thank you for tuning into our show wherever you're tuning in from. Thanks for listening to our show. Again, get those fake accounts ready so you can interact with us now. Smash the like button as well. And you can support us by following us on Spotify. We have all our previous episodes there. If you haven't had a chance to listen to them, feel free to check them out. Join us on YouTube. We are usually here every other Friday at 9 p.m., although our schedule changes from time to time. But we try to record at least 2 episodes, sometimes more, going forward. And connect with us on social media channels. We're on X. Our handle is @FarmUnplugged. And we're also on Reddit as well. We also have a website and email.
Yeah. Pharmacyunplugged.com. Check us out. But yeah, we're a bit off schedule, right?
I thought this is back on schedule. I'm not really sure, but
we did like a few. We did
math
like
is
2
very
in a
hard.
row.
I know we did 2 in a row, and then we
missed a
skipped like
couple
1
in
or
a
2
row.
exactly. So, like I said, math is very hard.
So hopefully we can get back on track.
Yes, we are trying to record more episodes, right? We might be on next week as well, maybe, right? Because the week after is Good Friday,
Friday.
so we might be on next week, and then after Good Friday we'll be on again. We'll try to pump out as many episodes as possible for you guys. Anyway, how was your week?
Yeah, it was all right.
It was
Pretty
alright.
busy actually.
Yeah,
It's getting busier.
it is.
Yeah, I
It
guess
is
as the
actually
weather.
getting busier for us too.
Well, today the weather's warmer, but earlier in the week it was pretty bad.
Wednesday
storm?
was pretty bad.
Yeah, I know it's before the storm. If there's like a alert saying there's a storm coming,
Oh, and it's
then
busy.
everybody comes the day before.
Oh,
'Cause
that's
they read the
why it was
weather.
busy on Tuesday.
And then yeah, usually if it's nicer weather, I don't even when it's really nicer weather, people don't actually come in either. Did they come to you?
Nice weather.
Like if it's
I mean,
beautiful
like,
outside,
No, usually in the summer, right? Like nice weather and warm, people don't come in.
they don't come in.
Exactly. And they're not sick. They feel better.
That's probably why.
It is. Like when you feel better, you just don't get sick. So it's true.
Although a lot of my team members are sick.
Oh,
So,
really? Well, this season, right? Like cough and cold
Yeah.
and whatnot. Flu season. Still towards the end of flu season right now.
Do you still wear a mask at the pharmacy?
I do wear a mask in pharmacy. Yeah, because the clinic wears a mask. So I usually do.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
The hospital just lifted the mask mandate,
Mhm.
so it's optional now.
Okay.
But the pharmacy team still wears one. So all of us.
Mhm.
The rest of the hospital is like no one's wearing one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But before the pandemic, don't they wear masks anyway? Like the nurses and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
they do, right?
everybody was wearing a mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you mean sorry, before pandemic?
Yeah.
No,
Depends on the department. No, really?
no.
Okay.
Unless you're going to like,
Surgery.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not involved in that.
Of course, they wear masks in surgery.
But like, if there's like I don't know droplet precautions,
Okay. Okay.
some patient
So
has
they
TB
like draw blood
isolation.
and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's been a recent change as well.
Okay.
But our team still continues to wear a mask. But I don't know if that has something to do with it.
That everybody's sick?
Yeah, a lot of people getting
Oh.
sick
Okay.
at work.
No, I think it's just a change in weather. So
Yeah, going from hot to cold, cold to hot.
it's also possible that they've been used to wearing masks, like being shielded from all these things. Now the mask is like not there, and then like everything, all the dust and everything flies in.
The body's like,
It's just
what is
irritated.
going on?
I know, right? So
What's the topic this week?
we are talking about pharmacy student.
Actually, how's your week
My
before we
week
jump
was
into it?
okay. Like long day for me though. I worked this morning.
Oh yeah, I usually have Friday off, right?
I usually have Friday off, but you usually work Friday, right?
I usually work
So
Friday.
it's actually a long day for you any day.
well,
any
it's just a normal day for me then.
week. Normal day. For
Extra
you.
long for you.
Extra long for me. That's right. So no, actually, what time do you work? 9?
No, I
Same
start
thing?
at 10.
You start at 10.
10 to
Still
6.
same thing. And then do you go home?
Yeah, I go home.
Okay.
I eat.
Like play with your kids and then come here.
No time for
Like
them.
entertain them. No time for them. I don't know how you manage.
Guys, I'm
like
busy. I
kids.
got to do a podcast. See ya.
Oh yeah, that's it. And then just like,
No. There's usually some time. Like do some homework with them every night.
wow, look at you. Such a good parent.
No, there's no choice. You can't trust the school system.
You cannot trust the school system.
There's
really?
too many kids.
Do you usually do the homework or does your wife usually do it?
If I'm there, it's usually me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're like in charge of homework.
Yeah, the kids like learning from me
Oh,
a bit
okay.
more.
Okay.
Um,
Really? Than your wife?
it could be maybe I'm a bit more strict.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So
They don't talk back as much.
they don't talk about as much.
No.
Okay. Or your wife just doesn't want to handle them with
Probably.
the homework and
That's
stuff,
probably what
right?
it is.
And she does other stuff.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I usually go home, eat dinner, do some homework,
Okay.
and then just play time afterwards.
Playtime. Okay. What time do you sleep?
Right now, like between 9 and 10.
Okay. No sleep.
Pretty late,
issue.
actually.
That's pretty good. So,
I sleep closer to midnight.
okay. Wow.
You sleep late, right?
I sleep late. That's right. So, probably
Yeah,
not good for the sleep schedule, whatever. But anyway, that's pretty good. I'm impressed you have so much time. Like you are
It's
able
not-
to find time.
It was
to do all these
24 hours
things.
in a day. I mean,
It's true, but you're able to find time. How long do you sleep? Like what time do you get up?
I get like 7.5 hours of sleep. I try to get 8.
Okay, that's pretty
But
good.
yeah,
Right.
like average is 8, right? For most people.
Yeah, I usually don't get 8, but 'cause I usually wake up early. Like we talked
Yeah,
about
I
the
just
sleep
wake up,
episode.
yeah.
So we just like wake up anyway. So wow, they like learning from you. That's good.
Well, for now,
Yes. For now, what do you mean?
who knows how it is when they're older?
So do you think your pharmacy students like learning from you?
You know, they say they do, but that's probably because they don't want to fail.
When do they say that? Like during the rotation? Oh, I love learning from you.
They say it at the end when you're about to do their evaluation.
Oh, okay. So that's why.
That gets into our topic today, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We can start talking about that.
Okay.
So
Well,
what's our
speaking
topic?
of pharmacy student, we're talking about pharmacy student in retail, right? Very tragic because apparently I'm not getting any pharmacy student next year.
Oh no!
Yes.
What did you do?
I don't know. Maybe they found out about this podcast and banned me from
Wait, who's they?
the faculty.
We didn't badmouth them,
What?
did we?
Not
I
yet.
don't even know what we said.
So anyway, I'm not really sure. They're like, why am I sending students to like look at him? He's doing this like podcast.
They need sites though.
Hmm?
They need sites though.
They do. So they're sending
Wait.
them to like shoppers and
Right.
exactly.
Hold on. Do you apply just for U of T? How about Waterloo?
I did not apply to Waterloo,
Try Waterloo. Oh, Waterloo, you have to pay them though.
You have to pay
It's
them.
co-op.
right? So it has to be full time too, right?
Has to be full time for like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, like
It's for a while.
okay.
Yeah.
It's like you're taking a chance on something that you don't really know. Like hiring
You get to
a
interview
person
them.
you actually know. Oh, really?
Yeah. U of T.
Oh,
U of T. They
okay.
just send it to you, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, it's free, so you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
it's
So
free?
Waterloo, you interview them. If you don't like any of them, don't hire any of them.
Oh, okay. You can do that, eh?
But they have to choose you as well.
They have to choose you.
Yeah, it's like a matching program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they come to your interview and then they choose you afterwards.
You go to them.
You go to
So
them.
they have one interview day,
Okay.
and all the employers go interview them
In
if they-
Waterloo.
in Waterloo. You can go. It used to be in person. Now it's
Okay.
virtual.
Oh, it's virtual.
So they have like an interview day.
Okay.
Then they rank all the interviewers.
Oh, so they rank you guys.
They rank us, and you have to rank them.
Okay.
But they find out how you rank them before they choose. But you don't know how they ranked you. So it's skewed towards the student. So just say you chose
Okay.
this student to be number 1,
Okay.
and they see you chose them to be number 1.
Really?
So they get to choose, should I choose Milson or should I choose the shoppers
Right.
who also ranked me number 1?
Okay. Okay.
But you can't see how they ranked you. But if they see you rank them number 2 from the interviews, because you interview a bunch,
Mhm.
then they'll be like, well,
I'm not the best.
I'm not the best
interview.
in their eyes. Maybe that person who got ranked number 1 is going to get it, so I'm not going to choose Milson.
But it's not just one rotation spot, right? Don't you have like multiple rotation spots?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if I rank you second, doesn't mean that I don't like you. It's
Does it?
just that, right? Let's say if I have 10 spots,
But it means you didn't like them the best.
well, there's only one person that's the
right,
best.
Exactly.
So
they get to see how you rank them.
not everybody can be like us. So
But yeah, well, my general experience from them is been pretty good. Sometimes you rank the student, like you have a student that you want to really rank really high, but you end up not getting them.
okay,
Yeah,
because
so it
you
becomes a
didn't
bit of
rank them
strategy.
high enough. What
It becomes a bit of strategy.
strategy?
Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta rank somebody high. If you, from my perspective, I'm gonna rank them high. I gotta feel like they're gonna rank me high as well. So I don't
Oh,
waste my number 1 rank on someone who I know is not gonna choose me.
really.
Yeah, you got an all-star out there. You rank the number 1. You know all these other pharmacies are gonna choose them as well.
Hmm.
You sure they're gonna choose you?
So you don't rank them. You
Exactly.
like don't even put them on the list.
I
So
do
they're
put them
like,
on
well,
this.
why? What's wrong with Richard not even putting me on the list? Everybody else is ranking me number 1. I'm like not even on his list. What's going on? So
Anyways, so yeah, pharmacy students. That's the topic.
Mhm.
How
Okay.
do you want to start?
well, we can talk about like what's it like having student in retail. So
Okay.
you talk about you have Waterloo. I've never had Waterloo student. So how is that different than like U of T student?
So U of T students, there's two types, right? There's EPE and APE students you can get.
What about Waterloo?
Waterloo's co-op.
Oh, they're all co-op.
Co-op, yeah.
Okay.
They're all co-op.
Do they have like co-op first year, co-op second year kind of thing? Or
from what I understand, it's either they're in school, like lectures, and then off that, out of school, they're doing the co-op. So there's no like really time off. U of T, I had like an EPE student a long time ago, maybe one or two, but these days I only take APEs. But my site takes both EP and APE.
I feel like that's why they don't send me a student, right? Because I used to take EP and APE, and our site has been very popular for EP students. So
Okay.
for those of you who never had students, EP is first or second year student, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I usually get 3 students in the summer, so because they only come in the summer, so it's like the 3 months. So I usually get all 3 slots filled up, right? So this year I decided because I'm not in the pharmacy physically as much, it will be unfair for the EP students because they learn better. I guess they need a little bit more like hands-on guidance kind of thing, right? AP students, you can learn from any pharmacist, right? You can work with other pharmacists. You can learn good stuff from other pharmacists too, right? Like
practical
it's actually
experience.
Important for AP students
And knowledge
to learn from different pharmacists, right? If you work with different pharmacists, you see different work style. That's why I tell the students as well, like AP students, don't just copy what I do, right? Like see what other pharmacists do as well. And yeah. Anyway, so I told them I'm not taking any EP students.
You told them, oh, I see.
I put 0 on there.
So like you rejected them.
I rejected them. So
you only wanted APE students.
Only APE. So and maybe it backfired on me. I don't know. So, but it's okay. I just thought it would be better for EP students if I personally can be in the pharmacy like more days of the week. But now I'm not in the pharmacy as many days. I just feel like EP students will not learn as much.
Can't you have like a staff pharmacist oversee them when you're not there?
Yeah, but like it's hard to teach EP students sometimes, right? Because they don't know much, and it's unfair to actually tell the pharmacist to like, you know what, teach him all these stuff, right?
And
like,
do your job.
And do your job, exactly. So I never actually tell the staff that anyway. So maybe that's why I don't have a student. Who knows? Because I don't have a student now, so I feel like I can just talk about students without giving.
I also feel like there's a lot more sites out there versus back in the day that are willing to take students. And I think it's also because it goes back to some of the corporate stuff we talked about. There's more corporate pressure, and they can utilize those APE students to do some of those services.
Of course.
So I think there is a lot more competition to get those APE students into those rotations now. So there's a lot more sites for them to choose. Whereas EPE student, not so much. They can't utilize them that way, right? Like you said, EPE student, you have to be there to actually really teach them. So you got to invest time.
Like you said, some of the corporate locations, they don't actually take EP students as well.
That's right.
Right. So I guess they don't have much of a choice. I do find that because my pharmacy is in the east end of Toronto, most of my students come from the east end. And for some reason, I find most pharmacy students actually live in the west end. There are more pharmacy students living in the west end. So Toronto area, so Etobicoke, Mississauga, Brampton area, and the pharmacy students that would come here would be the ones that are from Scarborough, right? I don't actually have. I find that there are not that many students that actually live in Scarborough. There's one year there are like tons of students I have in my pharmacy because there's so many of them living in Scarborough, right? So they all chose my pharmacy. But anyway, it is what it is, right? I'm disappointed. My former students didn't actually spread the word to ask his friends to come here, like their friends to come here. So,
can they actively choose? They can actively choose?
I don't think they can come here again. I think the faculty banned it from, I'm not really sure. So if you guys are students listening, then you guys can comment.
Yeah, I wonder if it's randomly assigned.
No, they can choose. But the problem is, I think in the past, you're allowed to go to the same site for EP and APE. But now they don't allow that.
Oh, they don't?
I don't think they allow that anymore. So
yeah, I've seen that before.
Right. So I have a couple of students that actually did EP and APE here. Right. So unfortunately, they don't allow that. Right, so they couldn't come back. But yeah, anyway.
So okay, we can just talk about APE students.
Okay, so what's it like having a student? What is a typical day with a student on shift? Do you think how do they actually fit into the workflow? What do you usually have them do? I guess
like when they first get there, like the first few weeks, you're still kind of orientating them to the workflow, maybe the system, depending on if they've used that particular software before. But also there's like little quirks that maybe things that your pharmacy does that you do differently
than other
pharmacies.
Right? Okay.
So sometimes even they come in, they've done multiple rotations. there's still that onboarding period. So during that period, I don't know. I watch them a lot, really closely.
What would be
And
one thing that's like different for your pharmacy? Because I guess it's like, oh, you guys give like the warning slip or whatever, right? Any mistake, then you just like write them up.
yeah, well, because we're a big team, we're
Mhm.
heavy on documentation.
Mhm.
So a lot of students are not used to that.
Mhm.
So every little thing is documented.
Mhm.
So say, for example, if you're entering a prescription and there's something wrong with the drug plan, you need to document that.
Oh, on the prescription.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like in the system.
Oh, okay.
Usually it's the technicians that do that, but if
Mhm.
the students involved, they can do that as well.
Okay.
Or if you're filling something and say there's a shorter expiry on one of the products,
Then
you need to document that in the system
Okay.
so that when the pharmacist checks it,
Mhm.
they can see all those notes that have been
Okay.
documented up to that point.
Okay.
And then when you're checking, if there's anything in your thought process that you want to mark down. So for example, oh, I notice their GFR is a bit low.
Mhm.
Confirm like, oh, do they actually have kidney issues? Looks like their blood work shows this, but it's from a long time ago. Maybe we need to review that again and possibly dose adjust so that when you go talk to the patient, those are things that flags the counseling pharmacist as well. So yeah, there's a lot of documentation at each step.
Mhm.
So yeah, our site, that's big. Also, like the way you fill things. I think every pharmacy has like a different way. For example, like birth control.
Mhm.
Like some pharmacies like just put it on the box.
Mhm. Some
Right.
label inside.
We have to open it up. Yeah. So
Really?
we
You guys
label it,
label
label
inside?
inside.
Oh,
Same
okay.
with eye drops.
Mhm.
Some pharmacies just label the box.
Mhm.
We have to open up, flag it, label it on the inside.
Really?
Has to be as close to the product as possible.
Okay. Eye drop is kind of small though, I find.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, so it
Inhaler is
takes
okay,
time.
but like eye drop is like
I know. Or like say, but then there's things like Omniris.
Mhm.
Like if you open it up, it's only good for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So in that case, you put it on the bag. Like you put it on
On a
the
bag?
foil, on the foil.
foil, really?
The foil, yeah.
But they throw the foil away.
Yeah, but then once you open it, it's only good for a certain amount of time. So you don't want to open yet.
So I would say that it's more likely that they'll throw the foil away than they'll throw the box away.
I know. So every
Right.
yeah. So there's pros and cons to each, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? So, what about your pharmacy?
You mean like what do I have the students do usually?
I guess I guess the question was like what makes your pharmacy different and certain things that you do. Like the first couple of weeks, right? You're showing them stuff that's particular to your pharmacy. Anything
Usually
that
just
stands
the
out?
system, like you said, right? Not really much different. Our pharmacy is not very busy, right? Customers are pretty nice. They usually like behave. I usually tell them what I usually do, right? Like my thought process, like entry, maybe filling, and then checking and stuff like that. And then I have them start checking. I actually make them the pharmacist when they're working, right? So I'm kind of there to like assist them. Even when I was working at Shoppers, the students, when they're not like personally my student, I'll tell them when I work with you or when you work with me, you're the pharmacist. I'm just here to help you. Okay, so I answer the phone and I will like enter prescription and I'll fill for them. When I'm entering, I'm actually mentally checking as well, right? So like to make sure it's actually right.
Oh, so you enter you see the prescription, you enter it for
I
them
enter
to
it.
check.
Yeah, for
Okay,
them
that's
to check.
good.
So like sometimes they do enter depending on the students. I had students in the past, I asked them, right, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to learn? They're like, I want to learn how to enter at
good,
Shoppers, right? So they're like, because I want to learn the system, never work at Shoppers before. I said, okay, fine, let's go enter. And then we just go stand in front and enter like the whole day, depending on what the students want to do. But I usually make them the pharmacist, right? Because they need training to be a pharmacist.
That's a good way about doing it, right? Because eventually they are just going to be the pharmacist and they have to get used to like making the call, not necessarily relying on like as a crutch the pharmacist that's there to make the decision. But
Because everybody's going to turn to you now. You're the pharmacist, right? Like all the assistants are like, oh, what do I do with this, right? And you're going to be a pharmacist in a few months, so you have to know like how to solve the problem, basically.
I find some of the problems though is that sometimes the student's not ready, but they're confident, so they can kind of like fake it, right? So it's kind of hard. Like if you put them in that position, then they're like, okay, I have this responsibility now. Now I got to be confident in my decision making, right? Sometimes technicians ask them stuff. Technician doesn't know if it's actually the right call, right? Technician's just going to do what you said. So yeah, initially I do an evaluating process in that I grill them heavily on therapeutics.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, very heavy.
Okay.
In my mind, if your therapeutics is strong, then that's the backbone of being a good pharmacist.
Okay.
But that is only because on my team, we have very strong technicians. So when prescription comes in,
The technical thing
filling,
is like taking care of.
it's all taken care of.
Okay.
So the rotation's heavy focus is therapeutics
Okay.
and clinical work, pharmacist clinical work. But you're right. Once they get out there, maybe like you're on a shift, you're the only person there. You got to be strong in the technical stuff as well. But yeah, so initially, first couple of weeks, I'm evaluating them on. Well, I show them my process, like you said. How do I check prescription? What are the things I ask in my mind, which we covered in one of our episodes. Like, do you check for indication, safety issues, efficacy,
That's actually a very good
monitoring
episode.
parameters, right?
We should listen to it again.
Just to remind ourselves. But yeah, and then every single prescription I will grill them on the therapeutics, and it can be something simple like
Amoxicillin.
yeah,
What are they using this for? What dose is this for?
yeah,
Kind of thing. Okay.
yeah, and they'll be guessing, and
Okay.
they'll be like, "How do you know?"
Right.
Right? And
Okay.
then, for example, it's like amoxicillin 500 TID 7 days. What do you think it's for? Oh, it's for an infection. Well, yeah, everyone knows that. What kind of infection? And it's like, do you consider other things, right? Like if it's pediatric, what's their weight? How do you know it's actually for that, right? Oh, generally it's 500 TID, but is it 500 TID for all indications, for example?
That's right.
What about pneumonia?
Pneumonia versus like sinusitis. That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Okay.
it's little things like that, right? And then over time, I just get a sense of how strong they are therapeutically, and the stronger as stronger they are therapeutically, then I have more confidence in them as a pharmacist. Then I give them more responsibility independently.
Okay. I sometimes would tell them like, ask them like, what would you do in this situation, kind of thing, right? Or like, what are we going to tell the patient about this, right?
Yeah.
When I already kind of know the answer, and I want to see like how they
Yes.
respond to this as well. Kind of like maybe what you're going to tell the student, the patient when you counsel, or like how you would talk to a patient, right? Like we're going to call this patient, right? Okay, so what are we going to tell the patient?
Everything's
First,
posed as a question.
right?
Yeah, a scenario, right? Like this is happening right now. What would you do? I also have them look up a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Like, do you do that, or do you give them the answer?
Depends on the scenario, like the situation, right? So I usually have them look up stuff as well, right? What are we going to tell the patient? Like, what are the side effects out there? Let's look up this drug. I sometimes don't remember all this stuff as well, right? I don't memorize.
I don't
all those
trust my
things.
memory.
You don't trust? It's true. Aging, right? Plus, like, there's no way I can remember all these stuff, right? So I was like, let's look it up together, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to find this answer?
That's very good. I do the
Kind of
same thing. I want to impart the sense to them that you don't have to know everything.
That's true.
And you don't have to put up a front that everyone has to see that you know everything. Oftentimes there's like some pressure, right? Oh, you're the pharmacist, you're the person, or you're a pharmacy student at B. Shouldn't you know this already? Then they might make up something.
Okay, listen, if I know everything, I wouldn't be here, right? So there you go. I'll
So
be like
yeah,
somewhere else.
just look it up. It's okay to look up stuff.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty much I think we talk about how it's like having a I actually like having a pharmacy student.
But eventually, just say they pass all your assessments, like your internal assessment of them that they're good. Do you eventually let them just operate independently, and you do your thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And they come to you if they have any questions.
I actually let them operate pretty independently pretty early on, right? Like check prescription and stuff like that. Obviously, if they're not as strong, then I'm more careful when I'm like looking at the prescription and filling it.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, I usually would be there to like assist kind of thing, right? And I let them do the pharmacist work mostly. And if they have any question, they can just ask me pretty much, right? So, and a lot of times for counseling, I usually ask them like, are you comfortable counseling this? Right. If they're not, then we can go through it. Right. If they are, then I'll be like, okay, what are you going to tell the patient?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what I usually do anyway.
So our AP students, it's like 5-week rotations, but each of our students, they do 2 5 weeks. So it's 10 weeks.
Okay.
So generally my first 5 weeks is still assessing them.
For 5 weeks?
Most people, I haven't had any, maybe one student that was good enough that week 4, they were okay enough that I can have them go outside and do OTC questions independently.
Okay.
But for on average, usually first 5 weeks, I'm still with them.
Okay.
And the last 5 weeks,
like
they
let them
consider
do
being
their
independent.
own stuff.
But that's the thing, like, because I'm an outpatient in the hospital, right? Outpatient pharmacy. So they see a lot of stuff that they don't necessarily see elsewhere. So they like a lot of HIV, TB, chronic kidney disease. So yeah, it's just a lot of new stuff for them. So it's kind of overwhelming. Even OTC questions.
Really?
I just follow them around and then
see
I
what
grill
they
them
say?
afterwards. Yeah. Like, why did you recommend that?
Wow. Okay.
Why didn't you recommend
so
this?
intense. So it's a good learning experience though. Like,
I don't know.
If you have a preceptor that actually is going to ask you all these questions.
Depends on student.
Depends on the student.
Most students are okay, I find, but there have been students that have been like, oh, this is a little bit, it's a little bit too much, right?
In terms of the content, like too much expectation on therapeutic.
On the recent content, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
In which case, I'm like, okay, we can slow it down, but that means you don't get to practice independently yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow. You are strict. That's why your kids like learning from you, right? So,
Well, I don't know. Like,
what do your other team members do? Like for example, other pharmacists when they teach their students, like do they go with the same style or like?
I think we're all pretty much have the same expectations,
Okay.
but the way we approach it might be a bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to pose questions,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just look up the answers after.
Okay.
But others may have a more didactic style of teaching,
Mm-hmm.
where they're not posing the question, but they're teaching you, like they're telling the answer as well.
Okay.
What do you usually do?
It's actually good that the way that you work, it's basically like I'm going to help you kind of thing, right? I'm going to guide you. Like I'm here, okay? I'm like observing what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? And then I'll help you. But the way I do it, it's almost like, okay, just do this, okay? Just tell
Yes.
me, is it okay? Okay, that's fine. So you go talk to a patient now.
There's
Okay?
merits
So
to that as well.
yeah.
They're more relaxed as well.
they're a little bit more relaxed. But I feel like it depends on the student, right? Like what kind of teaching they would respond to best,
Mhm.
right? I'm almost like I'm gonna throw you in the water and just like start swimming now, right? So
Yeah,
patience waiting. Let's hurry up.
But if
So
you see them freaking out,
what? You know what? I did that one time to a student, right? When I was at Shoppers. So it was actually an EPI student, no, EPE student. I think it was like EP1, like first year student. So I was like, okay, have you learned about this medication? And she was like, yes, right? I was like, okay, can you counsel? And then
you trusted them.
what?
You didn't ask
No,
them
I
anything
asked
else.
like, can you counsel on this?
Did you watch
And
it?
then she was like, I'm not comfortable counseling,
Oh,
right?
good.
So
That's
I was like,
that's an
okay.
honest student. I like that.
And she was like, can I watch you counsel? I was like, sure, watch me
Good.
counsel. So
I like that.
right,
I
'cause
always tell students, like, don't be afraid to admit that you don't know something.
of course, right?
Me as a pharmacist, I admit I don't know stuff all the time.
Mhm.
Um,
So yeah, that's how it is. I find that retail is very fast paced. Obviously, we work in retail, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have time to explain everything, especially when I was working at corporate like Shoppers before.
Mhm.
And then if I remember, my memory was still good at that time, not like my memory now. I usually would go back and actually like go through it with them, and I tell them sometimes if I forget, just remind me. We'll talk about this after,
Mhm.
right? Because patients waiting, we can stop, unfortunately, right? In my pharmacy, it's okay because we're not that busy. And I want them to do well, but sometimes you have to like kind of meet halfway, right? So, yeah, that was like my feel of like having a student in retail. The only thing is sometimes when the student is new and the patients come, like our patients know us, right?
Mhm.
And they'll come and be like, "Oh, you're more people, right?" So they expect even faster sometimes.
Because they
service,
see
right?
more people there.
More people, right? So one of the most important thing I teach my students is setting the right expectation, right?
Mhm.
Don't tell patients wrong stuff, right? Don't tell them like 10 minutes when it's going to be like half an hour, right? Don't tell them it's going to come tomorrow when it's back order, right? So like that I'm like big on. Also like the patient needs to know if it went through insurance, if the insurance is wrong, like it didn't go through, or issues, right? Or they have to pay $100 afterwards, right? They have to know. They cannot be like picking up and be like, oh my god, why is
Let
it
them
100
know as
bucks?
soon as possible, right?
Exactly.
But
So
nobody
set the
wants
right
to have that
expectation.
conversation. I think that's the thing.
No, I tell them right
So
away
they
when
leave
I
it right
enter.
to the end.
No, that's like wasting time because you're
And,
doing all the
yeah,
prescription.
that's
Now,
right.
like patient has the right not to get it, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you know what? Just put it on file, right?
Because
So,
sometimes if it's like you're entering and
Mhm.
you have all these scripts to enter,
Mhm.
you're just like, I'm just entering and that's it. I have all this pile. I just have to get through it.
oh, I mean, if the patient, sorry, is standing in front of me,
Oh, okay.
right? I
Okay,
was like,
okay.
do you have insurance because this is quite expensive? And they're like, how expensive, right? So,
But do you
yeah.
make them call the patient before they come?
no,
Then we're checking.
No. So what I usually do personally is when we call everybody when it's ready, right? And I ask them, do you have insurance if they're new? If they don't, I tell them it's expensive.
Mhm.
I'm asking because it's expensive. It's $100,
Yeah.
right? And then so they can decide what they want to do. But you're right. By that time, the prescription has already been filled,
Mhm.
right? So if they don't want it, then I put it back on in stock.
At least
Fine.
they know before they head to the pharmacy.
Yes, right. And they know to bring insurance. This is important because you're working by yourself. You don't want patients to come here like, hold on, it's on in my phone. Hold on, where's the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Right? So you don't want that. So anyway, that's a little bit off to the side. Anyway, so we should talk about maybe some tips
Okay.
for us, I guess, for pharmacy team.
Have you ever gotten feedback from your students, like honest feedback?
Not face to face.
Do you
But
sit down with them like at the end of rotation? You know, like kind of like exit interview.
depends on the student, right? I usually ask them like how your experience. Well, they always say good things, so like
They'll make sure you pass them first.
exactly. So And then I do read some
But
of
you
the
do you see, yeah,
comments at the end. They do write comments, right?
yeah.
So if you guys are listening, if you guys are working like in a different city or whatever, so our school, what they did is they would randomize all these comments, or they think it's randomized,
Hmm.
and then they would actually like just put them all together. They
You can tell who it
don't
is.
actually exactly. You
Yeah.
don't. They don't actually edit any of them, right? They just
Yeah,
say like
yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They randomize it, right? But
yeah,
by reading it, you kind of know like who actually wrote it,
yeah.
right? So some of them actually wrote pretty fun comments.
What kind of feedback do you get?
Usually what they learn, and generally like they learn a lot of good stuff, like practical things,
Hmm.
things like that. Sometimes they said I need a vacation, but stuff like that.
I think most of the students, they're pretty professional. I
Mhm.
haven't had like any like really mean comments or bad comments. The only thing was, which I already mentioned, like a couple of students say, oh, sometimes it's too fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also like
Which
just
is fair.
it's just the way
Right.
just the way a practice environment is.
Mhm.
There's
It's
like
not for everybody. Not every practice site is for everybody, right?
yeah,
So, yeah.
it's like it's busy, and then there's a lot of topics that you have to go through.
Mhm.
But yeah, tips for preceptors and pharmacy students.
Pharmacy teams, maybe.
I don't really
Like,
have a tip. I mean, maybe. I mean, if I had students tell me that certain rotations they go on, they just use them like a tech,
mhm.
or they just use them
To
on this
do
one role.
professional service.
Yeah,
right?
and that's all they do the whole rotation, like
Mhm.
peer meds check, medication reviews, bill the
Mhm.
government, or just hold like fasting clinics.
Mhm.
And they don't really learn much in terms of like actual pharmacist work,
Mhm.
like in terms of checking prescriptions
Mhm.
and finding like clinical issues.
Mhm.
But I don't know, like do you have anything to share? Like, I guess when you first took a student versus now,
Mhm.
like how you have adjusted your approach in terms of teaching.
It's actually a good question. I don't really know if I actually changed that much, but one thing I do like to do is to get them involved in the workflow,
Mhm.
right? It's harder in the beginning when they don't even know the system, right? But once they get used to your workflow and working there, I think getting them involved would be um, the most positive learning experience for them, right? Let them be the pharmacist kind of thing, or tell them what I do, why I do this, right?
Mhm.
And then go through like my thought process with them a little bit. And then I always encourage them to actually work with other pharmacists as well, right? See what other pharmacists are doing, right? Because there are always different ways you can solve this, right? Like this, let's say this issue, like the medication is not available, whatever. How are we going to solve this, right? If you ask a different pharmacist, they might have a different solution to this,
Mm.
right? So I don't just assign work to them, right? Like, okay, do this. Now you're going to like catch people out, or like now you're going to just check all these prescriptions, right? Now you're going to enter all these things, right? Instead, I just have them involved and be a part of like the workflow,
Yeah.
right?
I have a question here in the chat.
Mhm.
This question is, what is your advice for students to get most out of their rotations?
Mhm. I think we should talk about advice for students after then, right?
Okay.
Anything else you want to talk about for you as a preceptor, or like if you're going to tell me as a preceptor, like what would be good for the students, like what, I guess feedback. Do you give feedback to them?
Yeah, I give a lot of feedback.
You get a lot of feedback.
Like I
Okay.
give instant feedback.
Instant feedback. Like
Yeah.
what?
Like if you just counsel
Wrong.
the patient and you come back,
Okay, you tell them that.
good
like,
job.
Good job.
Or
Really.
no, that was wrong.
Okay.
You should have done this.
Okay.
Well, okay. So I think it's important to give, in my point of view,
Mhm.
the more feedback you give, and the quicker they receive feedback,
Mhm.
the quicker they can adjust.
Okay.
So if there's anything that's not necessarily wrong with their practice, but
Mhm.
that they can improve in their practice,
Mhm.
they know right away.
Mhm.
So for the next interaction, they can do a bit better.
Mhm.
Whereas if you say feedback for only when you're supposed to give official feedback, then
Mhm.
it's really hard for them to adjust over time. It's slower,
Mhm.
right? I basically think of like different iterations of themselves, like a different version of themselves, right? From when they first get into the rotation
Mhm.
and from when they leave, like the goal is that they are a better version of a pharmacist that they're going to be.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's the way I think about it.
That's
How do
actually
you give
pretty good.
feedback?
So, depends on the situation, right? I don't really give like very critical feedback sometimes. I would say, okay, this is what I like. What you said there, good.
You do the
Right.
sandwich method?
And then I also said like, okay, I wouldn't have said this.
Mhm.
Sometimes I would say this, right? Like, oh, why did you mention that,
Yeah,
right? And then I have them explain. Like maybe sometimes they're like, oh, because of this, or like because I read this. I was like, oh, is it true?
Yeah.
Right. Let's say if they're talking about priming, like fake example, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say if they say, okay, press it like 20 times, right? And I was like, okay, like why do we press it 20 times, right?
I read it somewhere.
I'm not going to say like wrong 20 times is definitely wrong, right? But maybe it's in the monograph, right? Or some like
Yeah.
new study saying that
Yeah.
you should prime it 20 times. So I'll be like, oh, okay, let's
didn't know
look it
that.
up. I didn't know that. Exactly. So I don't, again, I don't know everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes I was like, okay, why did you say this, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I personally wouldn't say this part because it will confuse the patient,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of feedback that I usually give sometimes.
You're helping them become better, right? It's like not necessarily wrong what they did.
Almost
but
like
you're
I'm
giving
helping
feedback
them
and-
like get into my mindset, like right the whole time, like what I think, what I would do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I always tell them, ask other pharmacists what they would do as well, right? So that's I think that would help, like that kind of feedback, basically, right? I'm not going to be like right or wrong like immediately, right? So why did we say this, right? So
Like my approach, like depending on the student as well. Some students come in really confident, right? And they think they know everything.
okay,
So I'm more strict with them. I have to shoot them down, right?
okay.
So I'm really critical
Should
on everything I
establish
do.
like tell them who's boss kind of thing.
Well, kind of establish the feeling that you don't. Not everybody knows everything, like you said. There should be an like an open-minded kind of a perspective, in that if you feel like you know everything, it's very easy for you to miss stuff because you think you know everything already, right? So you don't know what you don't know. So in that case, if the student's very overconfident, then I'm heavily critical to see if they're able to answer my questions that I pose to them.
I would say this, right?
And usually it breaks them.
I do like that you're confident about like this and this, right? But you also have to be careful. Like this is what I would actually say directly, right? You have to be careful about this as well, right? So yeah, that's the feedback I would actually give if the student is like overconfident.
Sometimes you get students coming in and they're not confident at all. Now your approach has to shift,
Of course,
right? You'll give them confidence. It's like, yeah, you know this stuff, right? We
Okay.
just talked about it,
Okay.
right? You can counsel on this. Because
Okay.
like you said, sometimes you might shy away. I don't feel like it. I don't feel ready. I'll just watch you.
Okay.
But you already talked about, say, this eye drop,
Okay.
right? Then have to give them confidence, like, no, you can do it. I'll be beside you, kind of hand holding them. So it
Okay.
depends. I guess it depends on.
You don't think they'll
on
be more
students.
nervous that you're standing right next to them?
I've had that feedback as well.
Okay.
You're standing right beside me. I'm like, yes, I have to watch you.
Okay.
But yeah. So depending on the student, right? So I think it's also different though, because I work in a big team, so I have the time to spend like my whole rotation is one-on-one time with the student. They're with me the whole time. Whereas if I was just the only pharmacist and the student, obviously I wouldn't be able to do that. Then I'll have no choice but to let them be a bit more independent, and then just come to me when they need me.
So it depends on where you guys are working, right? One of the strategy you can actually use is that you can actually pair your student with one of the assistants, right? If it's in the busy pharmacy, for like half a shift maybe, and they can actually learn the workflow and how like the technical stuff. I honestly say that, right? If you work at Shoppers or any like big corporate pharmacy, some of the assistants have been there for a long time. They're very good at insurance billing, way better than I am, right? So sometimes learning from them is actually good. I always say this too, do not think that you know everything, or do not think that you're like the person running the show, right? You are, I guess, but the assistants are the one that actually support you, right? Imagine with no assistants, you're gonna like crumble.
Especially if assistants, they've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
They know the community a lot, and they've seen those problems that are new for you, but they've seen those scenarios play out time and time again. So they have a good inkling of how to solve them already.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree. Yeah, rely on technicians,
Yes.
or
Work as a
You got to
team.
respect the technicians.
Exactly. Work as a team,
Right,
right?
you-
We help each other out, kind of.
Yeah, you sign out the prescriptions, but you work as a team for the overall
You
goal.
can actually learn from them as well, right? They're learning
For
from you,
sure,
but you're also
yeah.
learning from them. So, so I guess we can talk about advice for students, right?
Okay.
Okay, let's try to answer the question. So, what are some of the advice? So, I would say that ask questions, right? But also like take time to actually find the answer, listen to the answer as well. Sometimes I think that's important, right? And that's like the first thing I would say. And also try to like help out in different ways as well. Some people don't actually think that way, or some students don't actually think that way, right? This is essentially like a job interview, like for me, right? So
It's like a
it's
a
like
5 week
your,
evaluation
5-week
process.
interview, yeah. So like you're interviewing for this job,
Mhm.
like on site, like trial shift for 5 weeks, pretty much, right? So not like you have to go aboard, like over and above to like impress me, right? But I can actually observe some of the things that you actually do, right? You can actually see subtle differences.
You
among
can't
students as
hide
well.
for 5 weeks.
You can hide for 5 weeks.
You can hide for half an hour or an hour in an interview though.
That's true. You're right. We talked about that a little bit, right? Um, the interview. Yes, we should have an episode talk about interview, like how you like hide. You can hide like in an interview. That's true.
Our stories about interviews.
Stories about interview. That's right, exactly. So yeah, so that's some of my advice, right? Ask questions, and try to listen to your answer. I guess like listen to feedback as well, right?
Yeah.
Feedback is never really personal. I don't really give like very personal stuff, and try to learn as much as you can in the rotation, even if you don't think that you're going to be in that field. So let's say if I get assigned to your pharmacy, I don't think that I'm going to be an outpatient, right?
Yeah.
You can still learn stuff from that
Oh, yeah,
that
sure.
you can take away for the rest of your career, right?
Yeah.
I always say this: if you actually can take away certain things, just little things, and you can use it for the rest of your career, then you'll be a pretty good pharmacist. So that's my advice for students, right? Do you have anything to add or like?
No, that's
else?
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Ask lots of questions. Don't be afraid to speak up. Like I sound pretty strict, but I try to create a safe environment too, in terms of like they can speak their mind. Of course, they have to maintain professionalism. But yeah, if you have any questions or if you don't know something, don't be afraid to show that you don't know something. I guess the only thing I would add is I see a lot of students come in and it's because they don't have that much experience in terms of real world practice, right? And maybe it's their first rotation. They don't really have a framework on how to base their practice on. So just say you give them a prescription, start checking this. They're kind of all over the place, right? Okay, I'll check the medication first, right? Okay, maybe check the patient, doctor. Okay, when I'm checking the medication, is it entered correctly? Okay, oh, it looks okay on the profile. Okay, done. Right? I didn't see anything wrong. I always tell them it's good if especially when you're beginning, have a framework in mind. Like make sure you do all this checklists. Did you check for indication? Did you check the dosing? Did you check a reference for the dosing? Did you check for any safety issues, like if they're whatever, pediatric or geriatric? Did you check for all the interactions with other medications? Did you check for allergies? Like just run through a checklist in your mind so that they can just actually have a framework that they follow each time. I always say, like, if you have a template that you're following, eventually you can kind of skew away from that template here and there, depending on the situation that you're checking. I find that helps a lot of students kind of get them into the groove. Because then if I just tell them, a new student just comes in, okay, so start checking, I don't know, like they're just kind of all over the place a lot of times. Or even when they're counseling, they're kind of all over the place.
So
or
that's
they
why I usually would,
let the patient dictate how the conversation goes.
Oh, okay.
I say, okay, you got to bring it back to, okay, you got to cover these points. You got to cover what is it for? How are they supposed to take it? What are the side effects? What do you need to monitor for? Don't let the patient just dictate like exactly where the conversation goes. It can go on like big tangents depending on the patient. So yeah, I guess I'll just add like adding a framework in for them to follow may help.
I usually would tell them like, this is what I do. Let me show you what I do, right? So I usually like say it out, like what's going through my mind as well. Okay, so let's check this, right? Is this right? Has the patient had it before? Did the dose change? Okay, do we have to write anything here? Okay, no, nothing. Okay, so that's fine. Is it late to refill, right? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell the
Adherence,
patient when the patient comes, right? Exactly, right? So nothing like any counseling note that we want to put in for the patient kind of thing, right? So you're right. A framework would actually help, right? Kind of like show them how you do things.
I guess as a student going to rotation though, just have a mindset that you're there to learn. No matter how much you think you know already, like even based on past experience, there's it could be almost the exact same environment you think, but there's going to be things there that you've never seen. So like you said, just have an open mind.
Have an open mind, try to learn, right?
And actually try to find stuff that you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And explore that direction rather than hide in like what you know already. So maybe you go to another rotation, you're like, I've done a lot of med checks, I've done injections, I'll just do that. Then I'll pass my rotation.
But you're not learning anything new,
Yeah.
right? Because this may be the only time in your career that you actually will work in this setting, right? You might as well learn as much as possible. Will be helpful for your career in the future. That's actually pretty good advice too, right? So yeah, hopefully that kind of like
I like that job interview part though. That doesn't come across my mind because I'm not the hirer, I'm not the manager.
Oh really?
But you being the manager and the person who hires.
Yeah.
It's true though, right?
Like, would you want this person to run your pharmacy?
Yeah. Can you see them as your staff pharmacist in the future?
Right. So a lot of the students I like, but not every single one of the students I would actually have as the pharmacist, right? So
what makes a good student?
What makes a good student? Like
for you?
for me, pretty much the stuff that I actually talked about, right? Uh, Student who actually take the rotation seriously, right? I think most of them do, right?
Not
They're
necessarily have to know everything.
they don't actually know everything. That's even better, right? They will ask questions that sometimes I have to think about too, right? They're like, "Oh, what would you do in this situation?" Or like, "Do you think this is right?" kind of thing, right? Or do you think this dose is off, right? Kind
Okay,
of
maybe
thing,
I'll
right?
reword the
So,
question. What
yeah.
makes a good student, but then also what differentiates a student from being just good and passes and then honors, like first class, A plus?
So sometimes students would look for other stuff to do, right? Like extra things,
Okay, takes
right?
initiative.
Takes initiative and do other stuff as well, right?
I've never had that.
Never had that, really? Like no students?
Maybe because
ever?
I keep them busy enough.
You really keep them busy enough.
But
My
what do they
pharmacy's
do?
not that busy.
What do they do? Like projects? Or?
Yeah, sometimes they're like, "Oh, let me help with this," right?
Wow. Okay, that's good.
Or like, or they give me ideas about like what to do with the front store sometimes, right? Or do you want me to help with this? Let me come up with like this like form for you or whatever.
They're not just standing around
They're just, like standing
waiting.
around.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's
right?
good.
So I even had a student who would volunteer to call people to do like mass check when we have time, right?
Oh, that's good.
So I
Yeah.
know, right? So make money for the pharmacy. Exactly. So there are different things. Like there are different students that I worked with in the past. They were good, right? But they're good in different ways. So, like I said, like I tell the students as well, right? Each pharmacist is good in different ways, right? So there's no point copying like the work style of one pharmacist, right? Just learn something good that I do. Don't learn my bad habits, right? Just learn something good that another pharmacist does as well. So,
How about bad student?
bad student, like students that don't want to learn would be like bad students. So fortunately for me, I don't think I've come across anyone who doesn't actually want to learn. I always say that I can teach any student except for the ones that don't want to learn. Even if you're stupid, I can actually teach you, right? I can
If,
make you
if they're
better.
willing to learn,
If you're willing to learn, I'll make you better.
if they have open mind.
Yes. So 100%.
Yeah.
So I may not make you like the best pharmacist, but I'll make you good. So
The worst is like, yeah, they're not open to feedback, right?
if you're not willing to learn, not
And they
willing
think
to
they know
open feedback,
everything,
yeah.
so they don't think they have anything to learn from you. They're just there to coast through the rotation. Okay.
So that's like the good and the bad, right? So, and
You have any stories you want to share?
not really like a lot of stories, to be honest. I had a lot of like students interaction. It's hard to actually come up with
you ever have a student cry?
cry it during the rotation.
Yeah.
No, in school, yes, not during rotation.
What do you mean in school? Like, you see them in school?
Oh, no, in pharmacy lab, like during when I was.
When we were in school.
When I was working.
Oh, when you were working. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
right.
But what about in your rotation?
Not in my
No?
rotation.
I had one student cry.
Okay.
Actually, I've seen a few students cry.
Really?
But-
Tears of joy? Maybe tears of joy. My
No,
student.
the patient. So the scenario was, the student. Oh, the doctor wrote magnesium oxide, whatever, for the patient. It's a long time ago,
Okay.
but I still remember. And then the student came up to me and said, "Oh, I don't know what this is for." I said, "Okay, well, you can ask the patient. Like, what are you gonna do? You can ask the patient." She's like, "Okay, I'll try asking the patient." So she calls the patient, and the patient's like, "Why are you asking me? I'm not the one to prescribe it.
Okay.
You should ask. Shouldn't you know already? You're the pharmacist.
It could be used for different things. I just want to confirm. Like what you're using it for.
Well, don't
Your
ask
dose
me.
will be
The doctor wrote it. What's wrong?" So, and then she's like, "Okay, Richard, the patient's not really answering it." I'm like, "Okay, what's the option?" "Oh, I'm gonna ask the doctor."
different. Okay.
I'm like, "Go do that." So she calls, and then the doctor, or she faxes, or the doctor calls back and says, "Why are you questioning my prescription?"
Okay.
Right? I wrote it, so you should just dispense it. And that broke her.
Really?
Because she's stuck in the middle now.
Okay.
So she doesn't know what's for still, even doing what she thought she should do, right? I asked the patient, they don't know. Well, they may know, but they're saying, why are you questioning? You're the pharmacist. Ask the doctor then. Doctor's saying, just fill what I wrote. Why are you questioning me? So that broke her. So I walk back. I'm like, I think she's crying. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what happened? And she tells me this whole thing. Like, oh, this happened with the patient. And the doctor, I'm
It's not
like,
her fault
okay,
though.
yeah. So I just had to console him, like, no, you just happen to be in this situation. It's not
Mhm.
your fault. You did everything right as a
Mhm.
pharmacist.
It's true. So.
You weren't comfortable in signing off on it. You didn't
Mhm.
know the indication. That's the first question.
Mhm.
Without indication, you don't know what dose you're supposed to dispense. So yeah, that's I think that was a good learning experience for her. That
Mhm.
you could do everything right, but it can still not go your way.
Mhm.
Um, that's the only time one of my students cried on me. But I've seen other students cry based on, like, if they get a bad evaluation, they come out of the room all teary and
Wow.
yeah.
So intense. So no, I've never had student cry in rotation.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty like relaxed, right? Because there are a lot of stuff that we're still learning. I always tell them we're learning together. Okay, so not
Yeah.
like as much about therapeutic and workflow because I know a lot of those stuff, but about like working with each other kind of
Mhm,
thing, right?
mhm.
I've seen students cry in practice lab, right? So they're like all stressed out
Yeah.
because of like patient interaction and stuff like that. But that's a story for another time. We actually have comments in the chat
Oh,
as
okay.
well. Yes.
Go ahead.
So our advice for students who are finishing up with the rotation and about to enter workforce as a pharmacist. So, is there anything you wish you knew looking
Okay,
back
so
from
the
your time?
question, okay, hi there. I would love to hear your advice for students who are finishing up rotations and are about to enter the workforce as pharmacists. Okay.
Okay, unfortunately, it's too late because you're about to enter. I'm just joking. So there are always stuff that you can actually learn as well, right? Keep an open mind. Talk to the pharmacists that have been in the role for like longer, I guess, right? And see what makes it easier for them to actually do the job, right?
Mhm.
What are some of the changes that they wish like they would have done, I guess, or things that they wish they would have learned, right? And then think about like maybe learning those things as well, or just kind of work through the process and think about, oh, it would have been nice if I know this, right? Then maybe go learn that, right? So do you want to learn about like methadone dispensing, right? Kind of thing. Do you want to learn more about certain things? Just read up on those things as well. I guess that's like my advice for if you're becoming a pharmacist.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know
if you're
if that
entering the
helps.
workforce, especially early on, it's a good
Mhm.
idea just to take shifts everywhere in
Mhm.
different types of practice environment.
Mhm.
Um,
That's true too.
because you
Yeah.
might learn about certain things, but you don't actually know how it is practicing in that environment
Mhm.
day in day out from 9 to 5. And you want to establish that early on in your career. So first few years, you might be moving around or taking a lot of different shifts before you decide, okay, I want to stay in one type of environment
Mhm.
for the rest of my career.
Mhm. I guess
Uh,
that actually answered the second question too,
what's the
right?
second question?
Is there anything you wish you knew looking back, or any advice for looking at different jobs, right? Things to be
Oh,
mindful of,
looking back.
right? Looking back, I probably wish I didn't stay in corporate pharmacy for that long.
Mhm.
Obviously, like
You wouldn't have known though
I wouldn't
unless
have
you have done
known,
it. Yeah.
right? But sometimes you get into a comfort zone and you don't actually go out and
Mhm.
actually look for other stuff, right? Your
Yeah.
job is okay, your pay is okay,
Yeah.
whatever supports my lifestyle, I just work, right? But I wish I don't actually regret working for corporate pharmacy because it actually taught me a lot of stuff as well. But I guess one of the biggest
About what you
regret
don't
is
like.
about about what I don't like, right? No, like working efficiently, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the pharmacist I am today as efficient as I am if I didn't work in corporate pharmacy. But the problem is, I wish I didn't stay in corporate for that long, right?
Mhm.
So my advice would be like try looking at different field, like you said, right? Maybe if you don't like the job, apply to a different job, right? Make a list what you like and what you don't like about your current situation, right?
Yeah.
But you always have this mindset sometimes, right? Grass is always greener on the other side, but
Mhm.
it might not be. So,
Yeah. My advice would be the same thing. Yeah, just cast your net wide.
mhm,
Try a lot of different types of roles as
mhm.
much as you can, even if it's just like, oh, just take a shift here and there at that particular pharmacy. In
Sometimes
terms of,
neighborhood actually matters too, right? Even
mm,
if you work for the same company, like different neighborhood actually matters.
if you're looking at different kinds of jobs and things to be mindful of, I guess before jumping into that, if it's say a full time role and it's a big investment, maybe ask if you can do a trial shift there to see if you
Mhm,
actually like it.
mhm,
Like, yeah, you want a job, but at the same time, you don't want to get roped into something that you thought was one way,
mhm.
and now you're kind of stuck there.
Do relief maybe,
Yeah,
right?
do
So
some relief
yeah,
first. Yeah,
yeah,
and yeah, do it while early in your career, because as you get older, life happens.
like
You have
us.
other priorities to think about.
Retirement.
Yeah. So Yeah, like
I want to retire
is
with
that,
all my like.
is that your
I
goal?
want to retire with all my internal organs intact, right? Not working for like corporate for too long and damage all my like internal organs physically,
Do
mentally.
you really
and,
want
like,
to retire, or do you want to make the most of the energy you have now until
I
until you
always say I
retire?
want to retire.
When you
Retire
retire,
means that like not do anything. It's just retire from retail maybe one day,
but you're not
right?
contributing anymore.
Maybe I'm going to go back and teach. Who knows?
Oh, okay,
So
you're going to contribute in different ways.
maybe
So you mean retire from pharmacy?
like
Is that your advice for
I'll just say
pharmacy
like
students?
retire from like retail. Well, actually, no, don't retire right away, right? Work. You're a pharmacist. If you don't like the profession, sure, like do something
But
else.
eventually,
switch
everyone
career.
wants to just retire.
Everybody just wants to retire. Depending on how long you work in corporate,
Yeah.
retail,
Yeah.
right? Oh, you just get tired and you want to retire.
Yeah, retail may not be for everyone either, right? You
Very
might go
damaging
into-
for your
yeah.
body. Actually, one of my students actually told me at Choppers, right? The student I work with, after his first week, he said, I have no idea how physical it was to work in retail, right? So,
Yeah, see, the thing is, like, as a student and in school, like, unless you're used to working like full-time jobs, it's really different, right? In school, you might be hyper focused for an hour or two, and then you relax.
you mean mentally different too, right? Sometimes like very physical, like standing all day, you don't actually think about that sometimes
Yeah,
as well. So,
like even if it's not busy at the pharmacy,
Mhm.
even mentally, like you said, you got to be alert because you don't know when the next patient is going to walk in.
Mhm.
You
That's
can't.
true.
There's no relaxing time,
Yeah.
really.
You don't know when the next issue is going to happen, right?
Mhm,
Things go wrong, insurance didn't work. Like, what are we going to do about this? So,
It's also like a grind, right? You come back day in, day out. It's the same thing,
mhm.
right? There's not really an end until like 30 years later.
Mhm.
Versus at school, it's like I just have to get through the semester for this course.
That's right. There's like a goal, right?
Yeah,
Well, there is a goal
And
for
then-
us. Retirement for me. Retire
yeah,
from
but
retail
that's like
pharmacy.
many years,
Yes. Okay.
right?
We'll
So
see.
that thought itself can also be very taxing.
All right. So,
We should do an episode on retirement.
okay. I will have a lot to say about that anyway. Maybe closer to like when we have more episodes and more listeners.
All
It'll
right,
just be us whining about like
pretty much.
exactly. So,
All right, let's stay positive for these pharmacy students.
okay. So, anything else you want to talk about?
Not really.
Okay.
Like about pharmacy students.
I think we hit most of the stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I like pharmacy students.
My experience have been pretty good. So,
Yeah.
I always
For the most
say that
part,
if
yeah.
you're like nice to them, they usually will be nice to you. They reciprocate, right?
Usually.
Right?
Oh yeah, if you give them good marks, definitely they'll be nice to you.
That's not necessarily what I mean, right? Like
You're
nice
gonna
to them as a
try giving them
person.
bad marks. Some of them
Well,
will.
you're not gonna fail them, like unless they're like bad, right? But I mean, like be nice to them as like a person,
Yeah.
right, kind of thing. Some preceptors
respectful,
are like very
right?
mean
Yeah.
to like the students, right? They just don't remember, right? They forgot how hard it was being a student sometimes.
Like, you mean power tripping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel that like when you get older, you don't care. Like I'm older now, I don't really care as much.
That's right. I
about,
don't have
like,
anything to prove.
I'm not gonna prove.
Really.
Right. And I
Right.
also don't assess the students based on like with me as a standard, right? I cannot do that.
But I also think like, this student, it could just be their last rotation before they're pharmacists.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to leave them with like a feeling of like, oh, I could have taught them better.
Mm-hmm.
As in like I could have given them more challenging scenarios because you never know what they're gonna. It's kind of like, you're grooming them and then you're letting them go into the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's like
the
your
whole,
kids are like leaving.
but the
home kind
whole
of thing,
time you're
right?
grooming them, you've been protecting them
Mhm.
away from all the dangers in the jungle.
Mhm.
So I want to show them all the dangers first and show them, there's so much out there that you don't know,
Mhm.
right? So that when you go out there and you see that lion coming straight at you,
Then you
know
can
what to
run.
do.
Exactly. You can run faster.
Exactly.
Climb the tree. Whatever. Lions also climb trees, unfortunately. So there you go. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good. What do you want to share?
Well, before we go, I actually have something for you.
Wait for me?
Yes, for you.
A gift?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Live here.
Okay.
Okay. If you guys are listening, he doesn't actually know this. So this is for you. You should open this. Careful.
Yo, what is this?
My student actually gave this to
Oh
me.
my gosh.
Yes. My student gave me
Nice.
2. So
For listeners, it's a mug
mhm,
and it has our Pharmacy Unplugged logo on it.
I know.
This is our first merch.
I know. It is. Right? It's nice.
This
She
is
actually gave me
nice.
2.
Wow,
That's how
thank
much you love the
Thank you,
rotation.
Milson student.
Exactly. So
It's a solid mug too.
it is. So I thought it would be nice to share because you're the producer and technical director, just so that you can keep me on the show. Otherwise, I could have used both, one for my left hand, one for my right. But I only have one mouth, so I'm just gonna give you one. Right? How do you feel about getting a gift because of my greatness? So I'm just joking. I'm not that great.
This is all you, actually.
What?
This is all you. To be honest, like which each show, I think you prep the most. I just kind of show up with all the equipment and I shove a mic in front of your mouth and you start talking. That's how I feel.
It's just me ranting, to be honest with you. But it's actually nice sometimes the students give me all these random stuff. I have like a lot of random stuff from students as well. Sometimes like chocolate, wine.
Yeah, I've never gotten something like this.
Oh, really? Thank you cards. I have a few.
I also don't tell
some,
them I
like,
have a
little
podcast
things.
though.
You don't tell them you have a podcast?
No.
Okay.
I like to
okay.
maintain a certain distance.
Okay. But I usually like share like different things with them.
That's good though.
Only
That's
the
good.
students
That's
that
good. You can have that relationship.
are now like in the pharmacy, now I'll tell them I have a podcast. Before I don't. Obviously, I don't have a podcast. Right. So, and most of our followers likely are my students or their friends, to be honest with you. You're welcome. So anyway,
guys, if you have any suggestions or things you want to hear about in future episodes, please let us know. You can let us know in the comments or shoot
my
us an
students
email.
actually said that she wanted us to talk about the licensing exam on one of the episodes.
Like, how to prepare for our PBCs?
Like
we can do
mentally
that.
and stuff like that. Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Do you guys think it would be helpful? I don't know. The students might find it helpful. So when's licensing exam? The end of May?
I don't remember anymore.
Okay, we can do it in May.
There was two. You had to do the written. Was that 2 days? Or is that 1 day?
They changed it to 1 day now. It used to be 2 days. That's right.
2 days,
you know what? Let's talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
We'll do it
for that
at
episode.
the end of April. How
Sure.
about that?
So next week, are we going to have an episode?
We will have an episode next week. We'll also have it maybe after Good Friday as well for 1 or 2 weeks in a row. Yes, please. Oh, see. So most of our listeners might be pharmacy students. So we will aim to do end of May. The exam is end of May. So maybe we'll do it at the end of April.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So you guys will get some time to study.
You should be studying now. Would be my advice.
So the only thing that you should be doing is studying and listening to our podcast. That's the only thing you should be doing. So exactly. Just don't do anything for fun except listening to our podcast.
Then they fail.
What? They're not going to fail. What are you talking about? Oh, my students also have 100% pass rate, by the way. Let's share that in the podcast. What?
You keep track of
I
that?
just check if they're pharmacists.
Oh, I should check my stats too.
Exactly. So anyway, I guess that's all the time that we have, right? If you guys have any comments, questions, and stuff like that, feel free to interact with us, email us, and yeah, you know where to find us. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and especially those of you who interacted with us today. If you guys have anything else you want to listen to, let us know.
Yeah, shoot us an email, pharmacyunplugged.com.
All right.
Sorry, it's pharmacyunplugged@gmail.com.
That's all the time we have. Until next week, have a good week, guys.
Have a good week.